Okay. All right. About to go live in a second. All right. So it's been a while since I've been live and I've been working on a bunch of things, but right now I am working on the Comeback Life OS. And this live is really about whether, whenever you get knocked down, whether it's from an injury, personal setback, or just something in your life, I think that most people just try to recover after something like that happens. And I think there's more to it. I think I have a blueprint that can really help you come back stronger. And I'm going to send or share a lot of the insights that I have here to help you come back stronger and really live the life that you need. So most people think of recovery is just about coming back and it's a healing that you have after you get injured, but I think recovery is so much more. And I break it down into about three different pillars. There are um, there is there's a rebuilding phase. There is a restoring phase. Really, it's reset, rebuild, and reinforce. Those are kind of the three pillars of success for any kind of recovery after an injury. Let me see here. So, as far as my situation, I definitely use some of these aspects on my own recovery and comeback pathway that I'm trying to share now, and I put it into a blueprint that I think that a lot of people find a lot of value from, and that blueprint really details how to get back after something knocks you down, whether it's injury, whether it's surgery, whether it's personal setbacks, career setbacks. I think there is a way to engineer a good comeback and really come stronger after life deals you a blow. And kind of what I do on a professional and daily basis is giving people tools to get them better. And it really is a scientific way of kind of handling these setbacks, because I personally have had my own setback in lots of different ways, whether it's physical, whether it's personal, whether it is career wise. Everything happens to everybody. All these bad things happen to people. There are some people who do better than others when they get knocked down. And I think that can be bottled up and studied. And I am developing a system to allow people to get better after these types of setbacks. And so the main pillar that I really start with when any setback happens is to reset. You want to reset and kind of take a note and move forward after you take note. For instance, I tore my Achilles about 4 years ago, and it was definitely a big blow to me, huge injury to me. First time I really had a huge injury like that. And I had to really take a second and figure out, first of all, why it happened. And that was my reset moment. I reset myself and I kind of went back on my foundation to figure out what I needed to change to get better. And the first thing that I did was work on stretching. I was a very inflexible person physically, and I had to go back and do my stretching. In addition to that, I had to obviously do physical therapy. So physical therapy played a huge role in my recovery efforts at first, and it was a big part of getting better. So the reset part of the recovery process is very important, and you have to pay attention to the recovery protocols that you have. So if it's a physical issue, you have to basically follow the physical therapy protocols that are given to you. And I follow my physical therapy protocols to a T. And it was very scared. I was very scared and didn't know if I was going to get back better, but I held on to it and I kept on going. So really the first pillar in recovery is just resetting. You got to reset your expectations. But when you reset your expectations, you really have to focus on getting your foundation right. So a injury, a setback, a disappointment is really a chance to set your expectations again and kind of look back at your foundation. So that's the first pillar, reset. My second pillar that I have is rebuild. So after you reset your expectations and look at your foundation, you need to rebuild again. So you need to build on top of that foundation. And rebuilding is a hard part of the recovery process, but it obviously is very important. And for my injury, when I tore my Achilles, I had to rebuild physically. I had to take time to do physical therapy about 3 times a week. I had to lift weights. I had to stretch. I had to sweat and do all the hard stuff that I did not necessarily do at first. And it really was hard because I had to take a lot of time out. So that's the rebuild part of the equation where you have to sit there and get your foundation right first. And then once you get your foundation right, you have to rebuild on top of it. So rebuild is that second pillar of the 3 pillars of recovery that I preach to my patients and the people I work with. And the third pillar is you have to reinforce. So once you start rebuilding, you have to reinforce to get everything going properly. And you have to really make new habits to make all these hard things that you're doing into a uh, viable way to live your life. So it's one thing to really hit the gym hard and be diligent about it, but it is another thing to be consistent with it. So you have to reinforce those new habits by making it a ritual, because if you don't make it a ritual, none of those things that you tried during the initial recovery phase will help or will serve you. I see lots of patients in my practice who they initially hit physical therapy hard. They feel very motivated to get better, and they feel like they will work hard and get back to their level of competition or level of physical um, activity and physical fitness. And once physical therapy gets harder and once time goes on, they start to lose that motivation and they don't recover as fast and as hard as they usually would. And I think it's very hard to really recover as hard as you could if you don't really reinforce the good habits of working out and focusing on your task at hand. And that is where I see recovery stall out, is the reinforcement stage, where you initially do all the hard stuff to get better, but then once the once once the spotlight is not on you, you wane and you lose that the hard part, and you lose that hard work. And that is where I think a lot of recovery fails. And the goal for most people that I hope, and a lot of my patients, I want them to not just come back to the same level of fitness, same level of strength. I want them to come back stronger. And you really can't come back stronger if you kind of fall off at one point and you don't really push yourself. And so, I think it really can boil down to 3 pillars. Again, it's you have to reset after you have a setback or injury, you have to rebuild, and you have to reinforce. I think each of these build on each other, but one is not necessarily more important than the other. But I really do think that the place where people lose their momentum is the reinforcement stage. And if you really handle it properly, the reinforcement stage can just really recycle everything else and really build everything else. Because if you really have good habits, you are able to, follow along and keep your momentum going. It sort of self reinforces itself and really is a self fulfilling prophecy. So I think recovery is a tough thing for a lot of people, whether it's from surgery, injury, or from some setback. I think it all is the same. I treat and kind of manufacture comebacks as an orthopedic surgeon, but I think it's no different from coming back from losing your job or coming back from, having a personal setback from a relationship. You have to really kind of reset, first of all. You have to rebuild yourself. You have to reinforce all the good habits. So, all the things that I say um, for injuries and surgeries all applies to everything else to a lot of people. So, yeah, thanks for questions. I'll take some questions here. I have a question from someone saying hi, from Mohammed saying hi, Dr. Philip. I'm an MS3 applying to ortho next year. Any advice? Once again, folks, I am an orthopedic sports surgeon, and a lot of folks are interested in getting into orthopedic surgery. Orthopedic surgery um, is a great field, and I think it is the only field in medicine where you really fix people in a very tangible way and get people back to their function. And it has become a very competitive field. And one of the best things that you can do to get into orthopedics nowadays is to do research early and often. So as soon as you are interested in orthopedics, you should start doing um, research within the field of orthopedics, hopefully. But any research is welcomed. It's just more likely to get a lot of favor if you do research within orthopedics. So you have to, first of all, be a good medical student, and you have to do research. And so all those things kind of reinforce everything and help you become a better candidate for the orthopedic residency application. So good luck and hope everything goes well. If anyone else has any more questions about recovery, sports injuries, life injuries, I'm here to answer it. I've definitely seen my share of all the above. And again, I'm just trying to share my knowledge after, several decades of training and education about the human body and about resilience and recovering after setbacks. And I'm making a blueprint for this to help folks kind of get through whatever they are, whether it's surgery, whether it's injury, whether it's losing your job, whether it's losing a relationship. It's all kind of the same type of thing because, we are getting through this and trying to build resilience in one way or the other. I build resilience physically in the operating room by fixing an injury, but it's the same thing to build resilience after failing a relationship or losing your job. So if anyone has any more questions, I can answer them quickly before I have to get going. But basically, I'm coalescing all this information and expertise that I have in a platform called the Comeback Life OS, where we're working on building a AI platform that really takes a lot of the guesswork out of recovering after, whether it's injury, whether it's setbacks from life, whether it's mental mindset issues. It's really a all-encompassing way to approach life and approach the setbacks that life sometimes throws at you, because we all have them. It happens to everybody, including me. So I've had my own fair share, and I am looking to build my expertise and use my expertise to help folks get better and come back stronger. And so, here just to answer any questions and also kind of get any feedback that you have or questions you have, especially about coming back from injury specifically, because that's obviously what I do as a regular basis from orthopedic surgery. Sorry, just going through questions here. Just to kind of go through my day right today, I finished up surgery today kind of early. That's why I'm doing this. I haven't done a live in a long time. It's been almost a year. I used to do this almost every week, but life's gotten very busy, and the surgical practice has gotten very busy as well. So today I did 3 surgeries, finished up, and have a couple minutes in the afternoon to talk to you guys and kind of share what I am working on in the aspect of recovery. And again, it's the Comeback Life OS, and we're working on really engineering a stronger comeback for your life. And it is not just for recovering after surgery or recovering after your injury. It's really about recovering after life's setbacks. Again, I think there is a blueprint to getting back stronger after an injury. I don't think the mindset that a lot of patients have is necessarily the best mindset. I think that they should not be thinking of getting back to their sport. They shouldn't be thinking of feeling better. They should be thinking about coming back better than before, because the surgery or the injury is really just an opportunity to reset their expectations and rebuild that foundation, whether it's a foundation of a strength, foundation of mindset, but it's really a chance to take time and reset and recover, as well as move forward in a stronger and better way. It's not easy to do that, and I think that the ways to do that are, you can think through it, and there are ways to do it that I think, I have a blueprint for, and I use these three pillars, I think, to try to get at the heart of it and make it more simpler to think about. But there is a whole kind of PDF and guide that I have available that I'm working on. You can get a quiz to the whole system in my bio, and it's pretty interesting because I developed a quiz that allows you to look at your comeback readiness score and figure out, are you really ready to come back from your setback, and what you need to work on and how to get better. So it's just kind of a way to kind of look at your setbacks and try to improve from it. So again, I'm breaking the setback and recovery process and coming back process by making it into a 3 pillar phase. The first phase is reset. The second phase is rebuild, and the third phase is reinforce. So you want to reset your expectations, but that doesn't mean you want to dial back your expectations. You just have to reset your expectations, because the injury, the setback, the life obstacle really is a chance to make your goals different and move on. And the next one is rebuild. That's the second pillar in the whole thing, and that's really a chance to take your foundation and move forward and make it over again, and build a new foundation. And once you get that foundation set, you really want to move forward and kind of get going. And the last one in that is reinforce. So you want to reinforce your habits to make your habits stronger, and make your habits kind of make your habits give you momentum to move forward in a positive way. Because a lot of things that happen to patients and people that I see is they initially have a lot of momentum in the beginning and a lot of um, enthusiasm to work hard and do all the great things in the beginning, but then by the end, they sort of lose that hope, they lose that struggle, and they kind of falter, don't move forward as high as they could. And it's hard to see and it's hard to watch, because you always want everyone to be the best they can, and recover as dramatically as possible, but it doesn't always happen. I think a lot of it has to do with mindset. A lot of that has to do with not reinforcing great habits. And I think the best way to combat that is to really focus on the good habits from the beginning. So if anyone has any questions about uh, recovering sports injuries specifically, because that's what I do as a sports surgeon, getting back from a sports injury, how to recover from a sports injury, or just how to get back from life injuries. Um, I, I'm an orthopedic surgeon, but I definitely see life injuries along the way, and I've had my share of life injuries as well. So I have fair game for that. So the things that I see daily from patients that harm their recovery are, it really has to do with mindset. That's the major thing that I think harms recovery after a sports injury. It's mindset. And if we can help you reset your mindset from the onset of an injury, I am convinced, and I've seen patients do extremely well no matter their injury. You know, just as an example, I had a patient just yesterday with a horrific injury. Had a knee dislocation several months ago, and from the beginning, this patient was surprisingly upbeat, surprisingly positive about the outcome of what the surgery would do. And this was despite the fact that the patient couldn't really move their leg without severe pain or instability, meaning the leg was almost coming apart. And I did the surgery on the patient and fixed multiple ligaments in the knee to stabilize the knee. And usually from these operations, patients get stiff. Patients have a lot of pain, obviously, because it's a very involved surgery to fix a knee dislocation. But I was surprised because from the onset, the patient was nonchalant about everything. The patient was saying that, well, this is just one step in the whole recovery process. I got to do what I got to do. And that really took me for a spin because I've never really seen a patient handle that major operation in such a nonchalant way. And I first I had questioned it because it seemed like this patient wasn't going to take anything seriously, and the patient wouldn't even do physical. I didn't think the patient would do physical therapy because it sounded like um, the patient was just blowing off the whole thing. But to my surprise, surgery went great. I wasn't surprised about that. But after surgery, the patient really had no issues, meaning pain was mild despite the severe injuries and the intense surgery that it was required. And the recovery was extremely smooth, whereas there was little um, little headache in terms of complaining about different things. I understand when you have a big surgery, you would complain about, pain, obviously, stiffness, discomfort, swelling, inconvenience. All these things are definitely things that I think patients are entitled to complain about after surgery. But this one patient didn't have any complaints and just moved forward. There was some setbacks here and there, but wasn't really that concerned about the setbacks. And the patient was seen a few days ago and is doing wonderfully without any problems. Now, I contrast that with a patient who has the most minimal injury, where the injury is being catastrophized, where the injury seems to be the source of the biggest problem in that patient's life. And granted, that patient might have a lot of pain from that one injury, but whenever someone kind of focuses in on that one injury as the source of the problem in their life, I really am concerned that surgery might not fix all the problems. So what I'm saying in general is having a positive mindset about any setback that you have, whether it's a surgery that you have to go through, or an injury, or a life obstacle, really reframing it in terms of how you are using it to kind of reset your life and as a chance to move forward with a new outlook on your life. And that's all I'm saying. I'm really kind of speaking from someone who has engineered setbacks or engineered comebacks from setbacks from thousands of patients. And I've been able to take mental notes on who does the best and kind of who struggles through the whole recovery process after the setback. And I think there are definitely ways to engineer good comebacks after any kind of surgery or injury and setback in general. So, I have lots of years of watching people to do it. So I think there's a bona fide playbook to do it and a bona fide blueprint to do it, which I'm working on now. And I so far have, a good set of three pillars that really kind of serve a lot of people to get back and do better. And again, the pillars I have are reset, rebuild, and reinforce. So those are kind of ways that I think that you can get back to your your higher level of recovery after a setback. And again, I don't want people to try to recover. I want them to engineer a stronger comeback. And that is what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing with Comeback Life OS. And I hope to have you follow along with the process. And I will share more tips and more insight as I go. So thanks for tuning in.